Right now at 5, how close is too close? We take a look at local laws regarding where sex offenders can live at and what that means for your children's safety. What?
I kind of gathered that one. We're not on right now, are we? Okay. I just wanted to be absolutely certain. So, do we need to just go ahead and combine the A and B block then? Since we're going ahead and running that break?
One thing at a time. What? Has this ever happened before?
Not, I don't think to this degree, but I've heard of it happening on the evenings. I think they had to dump out of the 6 o'clock news once at like 6:08 because they just lost complete control and there was no way to get it back. It has its ups and downs. But like I said, the big important thing is these cameras can't just take off and come after us. Can you imagine?
Priority, yes, yes.
Watching us on air as we're running around screaming because the cameras are coming after.
Recliners starting at $369. Are you heading back to school? 4 and 5 drawer chests starting at $139. New sectionals starting at $12.95. Kitchen carts starting at $199. Come see us.
And tonight at 5, or right now at 5, how close is too close? We take a look at local laws regarding where sex offenders can live at.
And the temperatures will continue to climb across the area as we get closer to dangerous heat. We'll take a look at your forecast coming up.
Plus, Kansas Attorney General Kansas Kobach says that authorities are investigating into alleged crimes associated with the raid of a Marion, Kansas newspaper.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning, 4 states, and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. The time now is 5:03. I'm Caitlin O'Shaughnessy.
I'm Chris Warner. It's Friday.
That
In case you couldn't tell, it's Friday.
It is Friday.
I've told you, technology knows when it's Friday. It's ready for its own
Technology
weekend.
already took off for the weekend.
It did.
So.
It absolutely did. And I want to remind our technology there is no holiday for you.
Not for the news.
No way.
We're
we
here,
don't take a break.
So are you.
Exactly. It's sitting back there, and I guarantee you it is laughing at our directors. It thinks it's hilarious what it's doing, but I have news for it. It's not funny at all, technology. Well, now that we're past all that, let's take a look at this, and this is unfortunate. We have an excessive heat watch for all of southeast Kansas and all of southwest Missouri. Now, this officially kicks in tomorrow afternoon and runs until Wednesday evening. So we've been talking about the return of that dangerous heat across the area. Yeah, it's looking likely. Now, for the excessive heat watch is meaning that we are looking at the potential of heat index values up to 112 degrees as we go through the weekend and the first half of next week. So we've really absolutely got to go right back to staying hydrated, taking breaks, making sure that you're taking precautions if you're outdoors, especially over the weekend, right before school starts. I know a lot of families probably trying to squeeze something in before school starts on the Missouri side. you got to take precautions this weekend. It is going to be hot. We are sitting at 63 degrees in Joplin right now. Temperatures around the region, 55 in Iola, 56 Fort Scott, 62 Pittsburgh, 65 Miami and Neosho. Now, real quick, as we get our morning started, we're looking all right. We're going to start to warm up. Well, mostly sunny skies, mid-70s by late morning. We're not dangerously hot yet, but we'll take a look at when those high temperatures get here in your full forecast in just a few more minutes.
Well, it's back to school for many families in the 4 states, and that also means many kids will be walking to and from school. Crawford County Sheriff Danny Smith wants to remind parents that not every home along their route is considered a safe house. That's because the state of Kansas doesn't have housing and loitering restrictions for registered sex offenders like other states like Missouri and Oklahoma.
So it's definitely a good time to start talking to your kids, including if you got younger kids. You need to start talking about knowing your address and your phone number, where safe places to go if you felt like you're unsafe.
KOAM's Tanya Bach talks more with parents and law enforcement about concerns over the sex offenders next door to your child's school, daycare, or even parks where they play. Coming up on our 6 o'clock show, we'll have part 1 of this 2-part investigation. Be sure to tune in. And a Pittsburgh man is arrested for child pornography charges. The Internet Crimes Against Children Task Force initiated an investigation which revealed that child pornography was being uploaded from a location in Pittsburgh. On August 16th, officers and detectives from the Pittsburgh Police Department arrested a 47-year-old suspect. The suspect was arrested for sexual exploitation of a child, specifically related to the possession of sexually explicit images involving minors under the age of 18. And Kansas Attorney General Chris KOAM says state authorities reviewing alleged crimes associated with the raid of Marion newspaper are interested in whether someone breached the Kansas criminal justice information system. Police raided the Marion County Record last week after the newspaper received information from a confidential source about the criminal history of a restaurant owner who wanted a liquor license. The case has gained international attention. Now the KBI is investigating if there was improper access to information in the KCJIS. Chanute, Kansas is eliminating the city property tax levy. This week, commissioners approved the city's 2024 budget. By dropping the mill rate, the city will not be collecting $2.1 million in taxes annually. KOAM's Fernanda Silva has the story.
Dee Bondan is a real estate agent in Chanute, Kansas for more than 10 years. She says she has never seen the housing inventory in the city as low as it is now.
Last year it started shrinking and houses went up after COVID because of, drywall and windows and doors, everything cost went up.
Now she's hoping her business will be positively impacted by the city's 2024 budget with no city mill.
I hope it will encourage people to build.
City officials expect a person who owns a $100,000 property to save about $400 per year starting in 2024.
It's money that we don't need and our citizens should keep it.
However, the city owns the electric utility and will increase the electric rate by a little less than 16%.
Property owner cannot control how much they're taxed on their property. A utility customer can definitely make changes to their own usage to see if I don't have to keep my air conditioner at 76 degrees all summer. I could increase it a little bit if I want to see some relief from the utility side that way.
The commission has improved their performance to the point where the utilities provide sufficient funds to operate our general fund activities like police, fire.
Just like real estate agent Dee Bondan, Mayor Jacob LaRue hopes the initiative will encourage investment in Chanute.
I hope it encourages growth and development in the city. I hope people can see that they can move to our city and not have the great burden of the taxes.
In Chanute, Fernanda Silva, KOAM News.
Officials also say it's not the first time Chanute will be a tax-free city when it comes to property taxes. They say back in the 1930s, the city also used utility earnings to fund much of the city's spending. And that's a look at this morning's top stories and weather in the 4-region state. Now, coming up on KOAM Morning News, we continue previewing football teams around the 4 states. We'll take a sneak peek at what fans of Parsons can expect from their team. Plus, a new study finds weight loss and diabetes drugs can cost 10 times as much as other countries. Plus, if you have weekend plans, you may need to be careful as it's going to be hot. We'll have more details with Chris in the Skywatch Weather Center. You're watching the KOAM Morning News. We'll be right back.
1 week, 1 day, 1 practice, and 1 drill at a time. That's the mantra for the Parsons High School football team this season. In 2022, the Vikings were streaky, winning the first 5 games of the year before losing the next 4 to finish out the season. Yesterday was their 4th practice of the year, wearing full pad, getting that game feel. Parsons and head coach Jeff Scheibe are putting all their focus on what's immediately in front of them.
As a short-term goal, we don't like our guys to look ahead on the schedule. So all we're focused on right now are the Prairie View Buffaloes, and just go 1-0 each week. And we're pumping that in their heads, and hopefully that's going to become something that we not only live by, but they actually do that every single week.
I feel like everyone's dialed in. No one's really messing around the whole time. We're all just focused on just doing the right thing. Situational awareness, whatever that may be. But we're just looking forward to the year and looking to improve from last year.
Our football previews continue with one of the top programs in Missouri, the Carthage Tigers. Tigers have finished each of the last 5 seasons with 2 losses or fewer. The picture of consistency: Carthage lost a ton of seniors to graduation in 2022, but instead of that being a detriment and providing for some doubt in the locker room, it makes this year's Tigers team feel like it has something to prove.
What's been surprising is the leadership and the chemistry that these guys have shown. Once you lose that strong senior class, you never know what type of chemistry you're going to have, or if somebody's going to step up and be a leader, because they haven't had to do that. They've always relied on those guys ahead of them. So I'm really proud of these guys for being able to step up.
A lot of people are doubting us, a lot of new people, but I think we'll be back and just as good as we have been, and I think we'll surprise a lot of people.
Still to come, the World Chess Federation issues its ruling concerning transgender women. Plus, we got another check of that hot forecast when the KOAM Morning News returns. Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News on this finally Friday here in the 4 states. It is now 5:16 a.m. Taking a live look at the MoDOT camera at US 60, Missouri 59 on the south side of Neosho, looking back to the west, and we are looking pretty good. Same from the MoDOT camera, 32nd in range line in Joplin, looking back to the south down range line, and the KDOT camera at 69 East 520th Avenue. Again, nice start to the day, pleasant temperatures, and even though we got a little warmer yesterday, and we're going to be even warmer today, we had a pretty cool overnight, and some of us relatively chilly. Unfortunately, it's not going to last much longer. We've got excessive heat watches for all of southeast Kansas and all of southwest Missouri. They officially start tomorrow afternoon and run through at least Wednesday evening. Now, these could be upgraded to either heat advisories or excessive heat warnings, and the reason these are in place is as we go through the next several days, we're looking at the potential for those heat index values to reach up to 112 degrees, and that is uncomfortable, unpleasant, and potentially dangerous out there. So we got to make sure we're taking precautions starting this weekend. We're looking at 63 in Joplin right now. We've got mostly clear skies out there, so not a bad start again to the day at all. And as we look at temperatures around the area, again, not bad, but look at how cool it is to the north. 55 in Iola, 56 Fort Scott, 59 in Nevada. We're just a little warmer to the south. 65 in Chanute, 62 Pittsburgh, 63 Chautauqua, 65 Miami, Neosho, Monette, and 67 Anderson and Grove. As we get our morning started, again, we'll have those mostly clear skies. We're going into the mid-70s by late morning, and heading into the afternoon, we're looking at highs right around about 90 degrees. So again, it's about where we should be. It's still hot, but that's right about where we should be for this time of year. But this is about it for a while. We're looking again, mostly clear, partly cloudy skies as we head through the afternoon, similar to what we've seen the last few days. We get a few clouds, otherwise it's relatively sunny. We'll clear out through the evening hours, 78 by 8, 74 at 10, and we'll go back down into the lower 70s for our overnight lows tonight, so not nearly as cool either, and that is ahead of a pretty significant warm-up that's going to take place starting tomorrow, as we're looking at highs now right around 100 degrees on our our Saturday and potentially upwards into the lower 100s by Sunday. We've got upper 90s Monday, but there's the potential we could reach 100 or slightly above by Monday as well. And that's why we have those excessive heat watches through Wednesday. We stay in the upper 90s, close to 100 all the way through Thursday. And then we're looking at the possibility, at least, of a few stray showers, maybe a thunderstorm or two Friday night, and then again Saturday night. And it does kick our temperatures down just a little bit. They're still above average, but we'll go into the low to mid 90s as we head into next weekend. But again, cannot emphasize enough, we're back to that. You've got to take precautions, stay hydrated, take frequent breaks, stay indoors if you can. If you've got weekend plans, just make sure you are prepared for this potentially dangerous heat as we head into this upcoming weekend. That is a check of your forecast. We're going to be back with a check of Health Watch right after this.
Topping Health Watch this morning, weight loss and diabetes drugs can cost 10 times as much in the U.S. compared to other countries. That's according to new analysis from KFF, formerly known as the Kaiser Family Foundation. Here, Wegovy costs quadruple what it does in Germany. The difference is even higher compared with the Netherlands. Ozempic runs just under $1,000 in the U.S. for a month's supply, but it's under $100 in the U.K. and France. The blood sugar and diabetes drug Mounjaro costs half as much in the Netherlands, and the CDC says about 42% of Americans 20 and older are classified as obese. It's common for people to experience some pain a year after having a heart attack. However, the severity of the pain may help predict a patient's long-term survival. This is according to a study published Wednesday in the Journal of the American Heart Association. The researchers studied 9 years of data from over 18,000 heart attack patients. They found that roughly 45% reported moderate or extreme pain a year after their heart attack. When compared to patients who reported no pain, those who reported moderate pain were 35% more likely to die within the next 8 years. And a new study shows Americans are drinking more and taking more drugs. Exactly what people do depends heavily on age. A University of Michigan survey shows 44% of adults under 30 years old report using marijuana. That's up from 28% 10 years ago. The amount of people who reportedly daily pot use almost doubled, and weed use also rose among adults 35 to 50 years old, reaching 28% from 17% 5 years ago. Adults under 35 are drinking less, but 30% of those 35 to 50 years old report binge drinking, which is consuming 5 or more drinks in a row. Also, 4% of middle-aged adults reported using hallucinogens like LSD, mushrooms, and ecstasy. More than 104,000 Americans are on the national organ transplant waiting list. According to the federal health officials, every day 7 people die without the organs that they need. That's why scientists are working to find an alternative to traditional organ transplantation. Mandy Gaither has more on a procedure involving pig organs that some believe may pave the way for the future of transplantation.
It's being called the latest milestone toward a new way to transplant organs. A genetically engineered kidney from a pig was put into a human who donated his body to science.
The pig kidney appears to replace all of the important tasks that the human kidney manages.
Surgeons at NYU Langone Health say the pig kidney continues to function well after 32 days. It was transplanted into a man declared brain dead, but a ventilator keeps his heart beating. The hospital says it's the longest period that a gene-edited pig kidney has functioned in a human.
The 1-month kidney biopsies and kidney tests show no evidence of rejection and normal renal function and clearance of toxins.
The pig's thymus, a small gland that helps the immune system fight disease, was also transplanted to help protect the kidneys from being rejected by the human immune system. Researchers say more work is needed, including studies in living human organ recipients to establish whether pig kidney transplants could be a bridge or destination therapy for people with end-stage kidney disease.
We're gaining critical evidence about how well pig kidneys work in the human environment. Hopefully this also gives some assurance to the FDA regarding the safety of initiating phase 1 clinical trials.
Researchers from the University of Alabama, Birmingham are also studying the use of non-human tissues to treat medical conditions in humans. In a research letter published in JAMA Surgery, they found transplanted gene-edited pig kidneys could not only produce urine, but sustain kidney function. And that's a look at some of today's top health stories. You're watching the KOAM Morning News.
And we are watching the potential for dangerous heat as we head into the upcoming weekend and the next work week. We'll take a look at that forecast when the KOAM Morning News returns.
Right now at 5:30, it's move-in day for students at MSSU. We'll take a look at how students are adjusting to their new housing.
And we've got temperatures continuing to climb across the area, and then we're looking at the potential for dangerous heat heading into the weekend. We'll look at that forecast coming up.
Plus, a museum in Webb City celebrates the feat of engineering that is flight.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning, 4 states, and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. The time now is 5:28 a.m. I'm Caitlin O'Shaughnessy.
I'm Chris Warner. So we've got actually a chilly start for some of us this morning, again, across the area, despite the fact that we were warmer yesterday and we're going to be even warmer today. But this is really the last chilly start we've got for a little while. All right, let's take a look. That's MoDOT camera 32nd in range line, KDOT camera 69 East 520th Avenue. Both those looking good. And here's what I'm talking about. We have excessive heat watches for all of southeast Kansas and all of southwest Missouri. These officially kicking in tomorrow afternoon, and they will run all the way through Wednesday evening. Now, between now and then, and shoot, even between now and even our new newscast, depending on what the forecast data says, these could get changed into heat advisories or potentially excessive heat warnings, as we're looking at the possibility of heat index values reaching upwards of 112 over the next several days. We're currently at 63 in Joplin. Hard to believe how hot it's going to be in the next 24 hours. And we're otherwise mostly clear. And up in our northern counties, we've got some pretty cool temps. 55 Iola, 56 Fort Scott, 59 in Nevada, get 60 Pittsburgh, 65 Chanute, Miami, and Neosho, and 63 Neodesha and Carthage as we get our morning started. And as the day progresses, we'll have those mostly clear skies, and like we've seen the last couple of days, there'll be the potential for some passing clouds here and there, but otherwise not a bad day, at least from the sky. We're going to go mid-70s. Now, we are hotter today. We're looking at highs right around 90, maybe into the lower 90s, but that's about where we should be for this time of year. This is really our last average day for quite some time. We'll have, again, mostly clear to partly cloudy skies as we head through the afternoon. We go into the evening. We'll be warmer this evening, back down into the lower 70s under clear skies once again. And as we look into the weekend, this is why we have those excessive heat watches. We're looking at 100 on Saturday, 103 on Sunday. We're looking upper 90s as we go into Monday and the first half of next week, but we could potentially see lower 100s as late as into Monday and Tuesday. So a lot to keep an eye on, and make sure if you've got plans this weekend, you're taking precautions. Caitlin?
Thanks, Chris. A lot of action on campus yesterday as Missouri Southern students take a leap into their futures and move into their new housing. For some students, back to school means leaving home and settling into a new residence. Students at Missouri Southern State University moved onto campus yesterday, and MSSU is welcoming students with activities leading up to the first day of class. Movement started at 10 a.m., and MSSU's residential director says it's all in a day fair.
Very special for the students, but also the parents. I think a lot of people don't think of the parents because there's a lot of emotions going around. But I think the thing that makes it so special is that a lot of people, this is their first time living away from home. Very chaotic. It's a very chaotic day for everybody involved.
MSSU is welcoming students with a variety of activities throughout the week. And a new private school has its first official school year starting this fall. The Pleasantville Christian School in Joplin is starting out the year with 32 students enrolled in grade pre-K through 4th grade. The school is offering all of the same standard curriculums as public schools, with the addition of homesteading and music classes, all wrapped up in a faith-centric atmosphere.
We want safety, we want a biblical education, and we want them to have different opportunities for school choice. So the founding families really started around a kitchen table, and we started brainstorming, what do we want? And that's where it started.
The school is still accepting applications, and students are also looking to get donations for student tuition scholarships. And it's the dog days of summer, and folks in downtown Joplin were celebrating. Yesterday's Third Thursday event featured plenty of dog-related activities, including a dog costume contest, a dog agility course, and giveaways from General Mills Blue Buffalo. For the humans, there was also live music, a beer garden, and a vintage car cruise. Organizers are already looking forward to next month's.
September 3rd Thursday coming up, and that is when everything goes green and gold downtown. Missouri Southern State University will be down here. They'll take over Main Street. It'll be a lot of fun. We've also got our wine share first Friday in September, and it'll be downtown at Stiefel right over here. So come and join us for that too. And we have Arts Fest coming up.
More than 140 vendors were set up downtown for yesterday's event. And a museum in Webb City is celebrating the feat of human engineering that is flight. The Freedom of Flight Museum and Aerospace Science and Technology Center is hosting a 3-day event in honor of Orville Wright's birthday. It kicked off yesterday with an aviation history exhibit, a space room, and a flight simulator.
This is the only place in the country like this. So for $2 you get far more than your money's worth and things to see, and to learn about aviation and aviation history in general.
The event continues through Saturday, which is Aviation Day. Other events will include STEM activities and a presentation about the World War I memoir, Luck of the Wing. And Chanute, Kansas is eliminating the city property tax levy. This week, commissioners approved the city's 2024 budget. By dropping the mill, the city will not be collecting $2.1 million annually. City officials expect a person who owns a $100,000 property to save about $400,000 per year in property taxes starting next year. However, the city owns the electric utility and will increase the electric rate by a little less than 16%.
Property owner cannot control how much they're taxed on their property. A utility customer can definitely make changes to their own usage to see if I don't have to keep my air conditioner at 76 degrees all summer. I could increase it a little bit if I want to see some relief from the utility side that way.
The part that citizens were paying on their real estate, now they can use for their own choosing. I think it's an increase in freedom.
Officials say it's not the first time Chanute will be a tax-free city when it comes to property taxes. They say back in the 30s, the city also used utility earnings to fund much of the city's spending. And that's a look at our top news stories coming up this half hour in the KOAM Morning News. We'll take you to England and head over to the world's deadliest garden. Plus, a woman from Canada is charged with sending RIE sin to former President Trump. We'll have the latest. You're watching the KOAM Morning News. But first, here's a live look from J&D Off-Road Park in Joplin as today starts the kickoff of the second annual Baxter Springs Jeep Invasion. Topping World Watch, the world's top chess federation has issued a ruling concerning transgender women. Swiss-based Chess Federation FIDE says transgender women cannot compete in its official events for females until officials review the situation. The federation says, quote, change of gender is a change that has a significant impact on a player's status and future eligibility to tournaments. Therefore, it can only be made if there is a relevant proof of the change provided. The organization, which is based in Switzerland, says an analysis of individual cases would take up to 2 years. The decision, published on Monday, has drawn criticism from advocacy groups and supporters of transgender rights. And a woman from Canada was sentenced to nearly 22 years in prison for mailing a threatening letter containing the poison resin to Donald Trump when he was the president. 56-year-old Pascal Ferrier had pleaded guilty to violating biological weapons, prohibits the connection with letters she sent to former President Trump and to police officials in Texas. Prosecutors say in September 2020, Ferrier made the resin at home in Quebec. They say she mailed the poison, which is made from processing castor beans, to the chief executive with a letter that referred to him as the ugly tyrant clown and read in part, "If it doesn't work, I'll find better recipe for another poison, or I might use my gun when I'll be able to come. Enjoy, free rebel spirit." Bogota, Colombia gets a violent shake Thursday after experiencing a 6.3 magnitude earthquake. The United States Geological Service also reporting a second 5.7 magnitude earthquake that hit soon after. Sirens sounded, alerting people to evacuate their homes, offices, and restaurants, the streets becoming flooded with people panicking over the quake. So far, there are no reports of injuries. And members of Spain's military have been taking preventative action on the island of Tenerife, which trying to find a wildfire from spreading. Officials say the fire has been burning out of control through the island, affecting nearly 8,000 people who have either been evacuated or ordered to stay indoors. Hundreds of firefighters and members of the Spanish Army are fighting the fire in the north of the island, which is a key tourist destination. Authorities on the Canary Islands say the flames have scorched 6,400 acres. The island's main town, Santa Cruz, is just 12 miles away from the flames. The Biden administration puts the spotlight on the growing threat from North Korea, one day ahead of a high-stakes summit with East Asian allies. Jennifer Grisson has more in the Pentagon.
Inaction is unacceptable.
The U.S. chairing a special meeting of the UN Security Council as world leaders focus on confronting North Korea. Today's meeting is the first of its kind since 2017. The main topic, exposing Pyongyang's human rights record, which the U.S. claims is a main driver of North Korea's provocative military actions.
Kim Jong-un's repressive totalitarian control of society ensures the regime can expend inordinate public resources developing its unlawful WMD and ballistic missile programs.
The Security Council session comes just a day ahead of a high-stakes meeting between President Biden and the leaders of Japan and South Korea. The three have met before on the sidelines of other international gatherings, but never at a trilateral summit, underscoring the importance of the event, with some observers noting relations have thawed in recent years as Seoul and Tokyo coordinate responses to threats from North Korea and China.
This is a relationship that's fraught with issues left over from history, political difficulties, and yet it's a critical relationship.
And it should be a busy day with multiple challenges to tackle, including new reports that North Korea is preparing for new long-range missile tests in the coming days.
Signs of ICBM launch preparations continue to be observed, with propellants frequently being taken out of liquid fuel plants.
The U.S. military also preparing for a series of joint drills with South Korea set to kick off next week. In a scary incident on a highway in Buenos Aires on Wednesday, a bus caught fire due to a mechanical electrical problem. It pulled over to the side of the busy road, the passengers fleeing as flames engulfed the vehicle. The fire quickly spreading across multiple lanes of traffic. Firefighters were able to extinguish the blaze, and luckily no injuries were reported. And the British Museum says it has fired an employee accused of stealing artifacts. The museum says various items from collections, including gold jewelry and gems, were missing, stolen, or damaged. The museum says it is taking legal action against the person who is accused of stealing or damaging the items. The museum says it's a majority of the items were being kept in a storeroom and has launched an independent review of security. London police is investigating. And Amsterdam City Hall is displaying artwork and diaries of children living through the war in Ukraine. The exhibit, hosted in the city where Anne Frank hid from the Nazi occupation during World War II, tells the stories of the young people caught in the crossfires of Russia's invasion of Ukraine. The children sharing pictures and writings, one teen recalling spending over 20 days under attack in Mariupol. And one company in Japan is finding it hard to meet demand for sales of its ice flower blocks. The company based in Tokyo started out selling ice, but hit a slump during the pandemic. So it decided to try something different and combine artificial flowers and ice. The flowers are placed in water to freeze for about 2 weeks. Customers pay about $45 to $75 for the ice displays. Many gifts them for birthdays, anniversaries, and Mother's Day. And once the ice melts, the flower can be used as decorations. That's a look at some of your biggest headlines from around the world. We'll be right back.
Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News, 5:46 now on this finally Friday here in the 4 states, and we are taking a first live look at the MoDOT camera at US 60 and Missouri 59, south side of Neosho, looking back toward the west, toward Lusk Drive there, and you can see we got a pretty decent start to the day. Same for the MoDOT camera at 32nd and Rangeline up in Joplin, looking back down to the south. So again, not a bad start out there, and of course we got a pretty good view from the KDOT camera at 69 and East 520th Avenue, just south of Pittsburgh out there. So again, pretty decent start, and despite the fact we were warmer yesterday and we're going to be even warmer today, man, it got pretty cool out there. Unfortunately, as we mentioned this morning, it's not going to last. We do have excessive heat watches for all of southeast Kansas and all of southwest Missouri. These officially kick in tomorrow afternoon and will run through Wednesday evening, and we're looking at the potential of heat index values up to 112 over the next several days. So we could potentially see these upgraded either to heat advisories or full-on excessive heat warnings if the forecast models continue to show that we're looking at dangerous heat over the next several days. And this morning, though, nowhere near excessive heat. It's kind of crazy to think how hot it's going to be in the next roughly, 36 hours? We are looking at 63 in Joplin under clear skies out there, calm breeze. Looking at temperatures around the region, look up to the north, 55 Iola and Fort Scott, 59 Nevada, 60 Yates Center and Stockton, as well as Pittsburgh, 64 Parsons, 62 Chautauqua, 63 Miami, 65 in Neosho, a little warmer to the south, 67 Grove, 68 Jay, and 69 in Bentonville. So not a bad start ahead of a warmer day and ahead of some potentially dangerous heat as we head into the weekend. Well, mostly sunny skies, and like we've seen the last couple of days, some passing clouds here and there. Otherwise, not bad. We'll go into the mid-70s by late morning, and as we head into the afternoon hours, we're going to heat up. We're going to make it right about 90 degrees under partly cloudy skies. That's going to put us just about where we should be for this time of year. Now, points out a little further west could get a little warmer, so we're talking maybe the low 90s out there, but not excessively hot, not yet. As we head into the evening, those clouds will dissipate, clear out. We'll have a clear evening, 78 by 8, 74 by 10, and overnight lows back into the lower 70s, again under those clear skies. And then the heat really starts to crank up as we look ahead. We head into this weekend, and we've got 100 Saturday, 103 possibly by Sunday. So if you've got weekend plans, I know Missouri schools, a number of them starting next week, so some folks probably trying to get out, do something this last weekend before school starts. You got to make sure you're taking precautions, you're staying hydrated, taking breaks, watch out for the kids, the elderly, your pets, just because we're looking at that dangerous heat returning to the 4 states. We hate to say it, but that's what it is. We're going to hold on to hot temperatures through the majority of next week as well. Upper 90s, near 100, could even break into the lower 100s again on Monday. And then as we head toward the end of the week, we cool back a little. We stay above normal, but we're back in the low to mid 90s by Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and we do at least have a limited chance for some thunderstorms Friday evening and again Saturday evening. It's a limited chance, but at least there's a rain chance or two out there on this forecast. And that is a quick check of your forecast. We're going to be right back after this, but first we're going to take another live look from J&D Off-Road Park in Joplin, because you see today starts the kickoff of the 2nd annual Baxter Springs Jeep Invasion.
It's a dangerous world out there, and one green corner of England is especially threatening. The caretakers are cultivating some of the world's most toxic and lethal plants. Ian Lee reports.
This is not your typical English garden. Don't stop to smell the roses here.
Every plant can hurt you in some way. Most can kill you.
It's more of a prison for murderous Mother Nature, and John Knox is the warden.
The rules are no touching, no tasting, no picking.
The poison garden in the north of England holds roughly 100 dangerous offenders, including hemlock, deadly nightshade, wolfsbane, and ricin.
This is Ricinus communis, the castor bean plant. So this is the most poisonous plant in the world, and that's why it's in a cage. And from one plant on a good season, you get somewhere between 2,500 to 7,500 potential deaths.
Some plants here have been used by serial killers, assassins, and the common criminal.
Guaranteed they're going to be dead, the victims, within 4 days. There is no antidote.
Visiting hours attract curious cultivators.
And you do automatically find yourself with your hands in your pockets to make sure that you aren't actually tempted to touch any of the plants.
Gardener Amy Thorpe's job is to touch the plants. She suits up before applying her green thumb.
If you get the sap on your skin as well, it can cause really bad blistering.
Do you ever get nervous working in here?
Yes, when you're hearing about all of the things that are around you and all of the things that they can do to you, it does get in your head sometimes.
The most notorious inmate just arrived from Australia.
So in this cage we've got the gimpy plant. This thing from this has like been set on fire and electrocuted at the same time, and it's going to continue for several months.
Plants here do find redemption, some having medicinal properties, and all serving to educate. Ian Lee, CBS News, Alnwick, England.
People have reportedly passed out just from walking through the garden. Guides say 80 visitors have fainted this year, but say it's more out of fear than from interacting with the plants. Well, stay tuned. We have more news for you here at KOAM Mornings. We'll be right back after the break. Keepers at the zoo in the central Polish city of Plock are celebrating the birth of 2 male Persian leopard cubs, which they say is one of the rarest leopard subspecies in the world. Footage released by the zoo on Wednesday showed the new cubs with their mother in an enclosure. In a statement published on its website, the zoo said the cubs would continue to drink their mother's milk for another month or 2 and asked members of the public to suggest names for the new arrivals. And footage uploaded on August 4th shows 2 wobbly mountain lion cubs that were discovered by the Santa Monica Mountains National Park Service. The cubs, which were about 24 days old at the time of recording, were found in their mother's den in the Santa Susana Mountains, according to the National Park Service. This footage shows an up-close look at the cubs as they purr and roar at the camera. The National Park Service said that since 2002, they have studied mountain lions in and around the Santa Monica Mountains to determine how they survive in a fragmented and urbanized environment.
We've got ourselves another warm one today. Temperatures honestly getting to that hot point. We're going to start the day mostly sunny, and as we've seen the last couple of days, maybe a few passing clouds out there. Mid-70s by late morning. Some partly cloudy skies heading into the afternoon as well. Temperatures right about 90, and some of us a little further to the west, the low 90s. So we're a little closer to where we should be for this time of year. And then as we head into the evening, we'll see those clouds clear out, and we'll go clear skies. Overnight lows a little milder as well, back into the lower 70s. And then we have an excessive heat watch for southeast Kansas and southwest Missouri. Officially kicks in tomorrow afternoon and runs all the way to Wednesday evening. And that is because we could see heat index values as high as 112 over the next few days. So make sure you're taking precautions. We're talking lower 100s this weekend, upper 90s, and potentially lower 100s as we kick off the next work week and we stay hot and dry across the 4 states. That's a quick check of your forecast. We'll be back with more of the KOAM Morning News right after this.
Right now at 6, the city of Chanute, Kansas votes to get rid of all city property taxes.
And while we've got a relatively cool start across the 4 states this morning, we're going to be heating up this afternoon and more so heading into the weekend. The latest on that coming up.
Plus, the Crawford County Sheriff shows us an app that will alert parents when a sex offender moves into the neighborhood.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning, 4 states, and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. The time now is 6 a.m. I'm Caitlin O'Shaughnessy.
I'm Chris Warner. So again, we've got a relatively cool start for us this morning, and that's despite the fact, we were a little warmer yesterday.
Yes, it's been actually quite pleasant.
Yeah, we're going to be a little hotter today, but it is still a little bit on the cool side this morning. However, again, that doesn't last. We've been telling you about what's getting ready to happen this weekend, and as of this morning, we now have excessive heat watches for all of southeast Kansas and all of southwest Missouri. Now, these officially go into effect tomorrow afternoon, but they run all the way until Wednesday evening across the area, and that's because we could see heat index values as high as 112 over the next several days. So if you have any weekend plans, or if you've got anything going on, or as kids get back to school, we just got to make sure that we're taking precautions. You're staying hydrated, taking frequent breaks. You've got to be careful out there because this heat can be deadly. All right, let's take a look outside. This is what we're talking about in terms of chilly. Look at this. We're at 60 in Joplin right now with these clear skies across the area, and some of our northern counties even cooler than that. We've got 55 Iola, 56 Fort Scott, 59 Nevada and Stockton. We're sitting a lot of 60s. Carthage, Lamar, Pittsburgh out there, 63 in Neodesha and Chautauqua, and 65 in Miami. Now, as we get our morning started, like we've seen the last few days, we have a few passing clouds here and there. Otherwise, we're looking at mostly sunny skies and going into the mid-70s as we head into the late morning hours. And then as we head into the afternoon, we are hotter today. We're talking right around 90, maybe into the lower 90s, but that's about average for this time of year. And that's the last average day we're going to have. We're going to have partly cloudy skies again heading into the afternoon. Clouds clear out and we will be clear going into the evening. 86 at 6, 78 by 8, 74 by 10, and eventually making it back into the lower 70s tonight. So again, a bit milder than where we have been the last couple of nights as well. And that is ahead of this unfortunate situation. We're talking lower 100s as we head into Saturday and Sunday. So you've really got to be taking precautions. Now, right now, we're looking at upper 90s and near 100 as we start the next work week, but we could easily see those temperatures bumped up a bit to or even slightly above 100 degrees. So that's why we have those excessive heat watches. We'll stay above normal, but be a pinch cooler Friday, Saturday, and Sunday of next week with some isolated storm chances Friday and Saturday evening. Caitlin?
Thanks, Chris. Well, as summer wraps up, many families are busy getting their kids ready for school. Some of them will be riding the bus this year, and others will be walking to school. But do you know who lives along your child's route? We find out in part 1 of Tanya Bach's special report, Sex Offenders Next Door. The rules vary from state to state when it comes to keeping sex offenders away from schools and the places your children often play.
Sisters Brittany Wydick and Brooke Hamilton are spending their last days of summer vacation cooling off at the Pittsburgh splash pad with their little ones. While they're busy keeping an eye on their kids, what they may not realize, someone else could be watching them too.
It's kind of unsettling to think, what if someone's just like watching my kids or whatever, you know, and I don't know.
The state of Kansas has more than 11,500 registered sex offenders, with 105 currently listing Crawford County as their home. And for most of them, there are no rules regulating where they can and can't go.
We could be mandated by a court or part of their probation, but as far as registering with the state of Kansas, to date there's nothing that mandates those type of restrictions.
Sheriff Danny Smith says that's not the case in border states like Missouri, where the state statute prevents sex offenders from living within 1,000 feet of a school, park, or daycare. In Oklahoma, that distance increases to 2,000 feet.
When it comes to loitering, sex offenders in Oklahoma and Missouri must stay at least 500 feet away from parks, schools, and daycares. But in Kansas, sex offenders can hang out here with your kids and even live across the street from your child's school.
Just kind of assume there is rules about that, but it surprises me for sure. Wish there was.
Brittany says she was just as surprised as her sister, but as a mom who also has a 10 and 14-year-old, she knows education is key.
Tell her the safe people in our neighborhood where she could just run to that house if anything were to be wrong. You know, where I know the people that I trust. And I tell her to always keep her phone on her so that I can see where she is, because I have her tracking device on her phone. And I tell her to just scream if she has to.
A scenario Sheriff Smith hopes never happens and says now is the time to start that conversation.
Knowing not to talk to strangers, don't fall for the, hey, I need some help, I lost my puppy, or I need directions.
And it happens so quickly that, I mean, one blink of an eye and they can be gone, and it's just scary.
A scary thought for Brittany, Brooke, and parents everywhere.
It's not working on the slide board? No.
Marion newspaper are interested in whether they are breached the Kansas Criminal Justice Information System. Police raided the Marion County Record last week after the newspaper received information from a confidential source about the criminal history of a restaurant owner who wanted a liquor license. The case has gained international attention. Now the KBI is investigating if there was improper access to information in the KCJIs. Chanute, Kansas is eliminating the city property tax levy. This week, commissioners approved the city's 2024 budget. By dropping the mill, the city will not be collecting $2.1 million annually. City officials expect a person who owns a $100,000 property to save about $400 per year in property taxes starting next year. However, the city owns the electric utility and will increase the electric rate by a little less than 16%.
Property owner cannot control how much they're taxed on their property. A utility customer can definitely make changes to their own usage to see if I don't have to keep my air conditioner at 76 degrees all summer. I could increase it a little bit if I want to see some relief from the utility side that way.
The part that citizens were paying on their real estate, now they can use for their own choosing. I think it's an increase in freedom.
Officials say it's not the first time Chanute will be a tax-free city when it comes to property taxes. They say back in the 30s, the city also used utilities earnings to fund much of the city's spending. And that's a look at this morning's top stories and weather in our first 7 minutes. Coming up on the KOAM Morning News. Why the top Maui emergency official has resigned as questions swirl around the Hawaiian wildfires. Plus, how Trump's indictment grand jurors' names and addresses are circulating on the far-right internet. And Chris Warner returns with another look at your Friday forecast. You're watching the KOAM Morning News. We'll be right back. But first, here's a live look at J&D Off-Road Park in Joplin as today starts the kickoff of the second annual Baxter Springs Jeep Invasion. Topping Nation Watch this morning, President Joe Biden has approved a major disaster declaration for Tennessee following severe storms in June. Biden made the declaration Thursday, which will let federal aid be used to help state and local recovery efforts. Tennessee was hit with severe storms on June 25th and 26th. Multiple planes at an airport in Millington near Memphis were flipped by the wind. And the tough housing market for would-be homebuyers is only getting worse. The average interest rate for a 30-year mortgage in the U.S. reached its highest level in 21 years, 7.09%. Just a year ago, that rate was 5.13%. Not only do high mortgage rates make it more expensive to finance a home, they also make homeowners who locked in lower rates more reluctant to sell. That reduces inventory, putting upward pressure on prices. Home sales are about 20% lower than at this time last year. And many elements go into how banks determine mortgage rates, and the Federal Reserve's rate is a major influence. The Fulton County Sheriff's Office is very aware of potential threats against members of the grand jury that indicted former President Donald Trump. Purported names, photos, and addresses of grand jurors in the Trump election subversion case in Georgia are circulating on the far-right internet. That Fulton County grand jury voted this week to indictment former President Trump and 18 co-defendants. Experts say some anonymous users are calling for violence against the jurors. The names being circulated on these far-right wing sites appear to match the names of at least 13 of the 26 grand jurors that served on the panel. It's not clear if those are the actual grand jurors or just people with the same names. Some of the addresses appear to be wrong. The Sheriff's Department is taking any threats seriously and is vowing to track down their origin. And a top Maui emergency official has resigned as questions swirl over steps taken in the lead up to last week's deadly wildfires. At least 111 people are now confirmed dead, with more than 1,000 still missing. CBS News' Donna Backus reports from Maui, where residents are trying to begin the healing process.
Maui's emergency services chief, Herman Andaya, has resigned, citing health reasons, a day after rejecting criticism for not activating sirens as the wildfires swept into Lahaina.
Do you regret not sounding the sirens?
I do not.
New aerial footage shows the widespread destruction caused by the deadliest U.S. wildfire in over a century. On the ground, rescue teams with cadaver dogs are still searching for hundreds of victims, many believed to be children.
The devastation is so severe, the remains that we're finding are almost unrecognizable. Multiple generations living in singular homes.
As recovery efforts continue, Hawaii's Attorney General announced there will be an independent review to assess how state and county agencies prepared and responded to the wildfires. Officials are also sounding alarms on scammers looking to make money off the tragedy. Hawaiian actor Jason Momoa posted this warning to his social media followers.
There's been some people on Instagram pretending to be me, asking for money. Pure evil.
The American Red Cross has set up relief sites around the island, and local grassroots organizations are also stepping up to help.
Our community pulls together strong and supports each other.
FEMA has opened recovery centers where those affected by the wildfires can apply for federal aid. Danya Backus, CBS News, Maui.
And with the resignation of Maui's emergency chief, the mayor says, given the gravity of the crisis, he will name a successor as quickly as possible. That's a look at some of today's top national stories. Now here's Chris with a look at your forecast.
Yeah, take a look at this sunrise here at 7th and Rangeline in Joplin. It's another one of those that looks almost like a painting. There wasn't a slight breeze or some twinkling lights. You'd almost think it was. We have an absolutely beautiful start to our finally Friday here in the 4 states. Unfortunately, it's really going to start to heat up as we head into the weekend and the next work week. We'll talk about that in your full forecast when the KOAM Morning News returns. Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News, 6:18 now on this finally Friday. I'm going to move to this side. Take a look at the colors in this sunrise this morning from our camera at 7th and Rangeline. I'm telling you, it looks like a painting. It looks absolutely gorgeous. If it wasn't for a little movement in the trees and some of those twinkling lights out there, you'd almost think that this was just a still image. And it's a beautiful start to the day across the area as well. Let's take a look down at the MoDOT camera at US 60, Missouri 59 in Neosho. Again, looking back toward the west, toward Lusk Drive here along Highway 60. And another just great shot out there, clear skies. MoDOT camera 32nd and Rangeline looking back to the south, also showing clear skies across the area. And the KDOT camera at US 69 and East 520th Avenue, also showing us this beautiful start to the day. And some great reminders, no texting. And this is a safety corridor, so just drive, no texting. Important information anywhere you go. We now have an excessive heat watch for all of southeast Kansas and southwest Missouri, and this kicks in officially tomorrow afternoon and then runs all the way until Wednesday evening across the area. And that is because we could potentially see heat index values as high as 112 degrees across the area. So we'll keep an eye on that. Wouldn't be surprised if we start to see that convert to an excessive heat warning or some heat advisories across the area over the next several hours and maybe into early tomorrow. We are nowhere near excessive heat this morning, though. Look at that. We are at 60 in Joplin under clear skies. Some of our northern counties even cooler. 55 still in Iola, 56 Fort Scott, got 59 Nevada, Stockton, 60 Carthage, Lamar, Pittsburgh, and Yates Center, 63 Chitopa, 65 Miami, Anderson, and 67 down in Grove and Newada. As we get our morning started, again, sunny skies. As we've seen the last couple of days, a few passing clouds. Otherwise, not bad. Mid-70s by late morning. Now, we are going to get hot today, but we're still going to be about average as we go right around 90, maybe some low 90s out there under those partly cloudy skies. And as we head into the evening ahead of this big warm-up, we're going to be a little milder overnight. So we got clear skies this evening, not a bad evening, and then we'll go into the lower 70s tonight. Ahead of this unfortunate news, we are looking at the lower 100s tomorrow and into our Sunday across the area. Hence why we've started those excessive heat watches. So dangerous heat. If you got plans this weekend or next week or kids back in school, you got to make sure you're staying hydrated, taking the appropriate precautions out there, because this heat, again, can be potentially deadly if you're not taking the appropriate precautions. We're looking at upper 90s as we kick off the next work week. However, as we get closer, some of the data suggests we might even go into the lower 100s into Monday and Tuesday as well. As we head toward the end of the week, we cool back just a little, back still above normal, but low to mid 90s with some isolated thunderstorm chances Friday and Saturday evening. Let's check your forecast. We are back with Health Watch right after this.
Topping Health Watch this morning, new research shows adopting the lifestyle that people in Italy and Spain often embrace could help you live longer. Bradley Blackburn has more.
The health benefits of the Mediterranean diet are well known. Now new research shows adopting the whole Mediterranean lifestyle is associated with a lower risk of death. That means following a diet rich in fruits, vegetables, and whole grains and limiting added salts and sugars, but also practicing other healthy habits like getting enough rest, engaging in physical activity, and spending time with friends. Researchers with Harvard T.H. Chan School of Public Health analyzed the habits of more than 110,000 adults and followed up 9 years later. Those who followed the Mediterranean lifestyle had a 29% lower risk of all-cause mortality and a 28% lower risk of cancer mortality compared to those who didn't. The study category of physical activity, rest, and socializing with friends was most strongly associated with these lowered risks and was also linked with a lower risk of death from cardiovascular disease. Study participants were all from the UK. Evidence researchers say that you don't have to live in Italy, Spain, or Greece to enjoy the health benefits of the Mediterranean way of life. Bradley Blackburn, CBS News, New York.
The Mediterranean lifestyle also involves social interactions, which researchers say is important for people as they age. And using a simple oral rinse, researchers in Canada have identified a link between high white blood cells in saliva and a risk of cardiovascular disease. Scientists believe factors causing inflammation in the mouth are spreading to the blood and could be a contributing cause of heart problems for some people. They say this is another reason to practice good oral hygiene. And a large international study has identified new genes associated with breast cancer. Researchers say the finding could lead to improved tests to recognize women at high risk of developing the disease. Current genetic tests only look for a handful of genes. The study highlights 4 more to consider, with evidence that there may be others that could also be monitored. And a new anti-obesity drug is targeting the brain. Researchers in France found the drug called liraglutide helps people feel full and eat less. They say anti-obesity prevention should play a bigger role in the healthcare system. And that's a look at some of today's top health stories. You're watching the KOAM Morning News.
And we are watching another beautiful start to the day across the 4 states. However, as we've been talking about, that dangerous heat is not very far away. We're going to take another full look at your forecast when the KOAM Morning News returns.
Right now at 6:30, it's move-in day at Missouri Southern as students prepare for the start of classes.
And we've got an absolutely beautiful start to the day across the 4 states. Summer really starting to return today and more so into the weekend. We'll look at your forecast coming up.
Plus, it's the dog days of summer. Residents in downtown Joplin celebrated Third Thursday yesterday.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning, 4 states, and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. The time now is 6:29 a.m. I'm Caitlin O'Shaughnessy.
I'm Chris Warner. So we have an absolutely beautiful start to the day across the area.
Yes, and the weekend, right?
Well, kind of. Unfortunately, it's going to start to heat up. Now, today's not going to be as bad as it's about to be, but as you can see on this map, it's going to get pretty bad across the area once again in terms of our temperatures. So this big red blotch across southeast Kansas and southwest Missouri is an excessive heat watch that kicks in officially tomorrow afternoon, and it runs all the way through Wednesday evening. We're looking at the possibility of heat index values as high as 112 over the next several days. So we've got to start getting back to those precautions, staying hydrated, checking on the elderly and pets, taking frequent breaks, wearing the lightweight, light-colored clothing. We've gone over all of that with you, and we're going to probably have to do it again as we head through the next several days. Now, right now, you wouldn't believe if you stepped outside that we are getting close to dangerous heat again across the area. That is just, about a little over 24 hours away. But it is. We're sitting at 60 in Joplin. As you can see, we got mostly clear skies across the area, and temperatures even in our northern counties still on the chilly side. 55 Iola, 57 Fort Scott and Stockton, 59 Nevada and Lamar, got 60 Pittsburgh and Carthage, 64 Chanute, Neodesha, Parsons, and 65 down in Miami. Now, as we get today started, we're going to start to warm up again like we've seen the last few days. There'll be some passing clouds, but otherwise, we're looking at mostly sunny skies, mid-70s by late morning. And as we head into the afternoon, we're looking good but hotter. We're looking right about 90, maybe some lower 90s out there. That's right about where we should be for this time of year. So it's going to be hot, but it's not excessively hot, not yet, with those partly cloudy skies through the afternoon. As we go into the evening, ahead of this big heat up, our overnight lows tonight a little bit milder. Our evening looks great, clear skies and clear overnight as we go back into the lower 70s. And then we look ahead into the weekend, and this is where it starts to take off. We go lower 100s Saturday and Sunday, and some of the data suggests we could even reach the lower 100s as far as Monday and Tuesday of next week. So something we're keeping an eye on, and hence why those excessive heat watches run all the way through Wednesday. We're still looking, regardless, upper 90s as we head into next week, and we'll cool back just a little bit as we head into Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So we're talking low to mid 90s, so still above average, and we have at least some isolated thunderstorm chances Friday and Saturday evening. Right now looking more like pop-up storm chances. We will eventually get more rainfall across the area, which will be great news, but at least for the next several days, it is hot and dry. So if you got plans this weekend, kids back in school next week, just make sure you're taking precautions, and for the schools, make sure you're watching the temperatures and watching those kids out there, because this heat can be potentially deadly for some. Caitlin?
Thanks, Chris. Well, Missouri Southern students yesterday take a leap into their futures as they prepare for the start of classes. For some students, back to school means leaving home and settling into a new residence. Students at Missouri Southern State University moved into campus yesterday, and MSSU is welcoming students with activities leading up to the first day of class. Movement started at 10 a.m., and Missouri Southern's residential director says it's an all-day affair.
We have our RAs stationed at the desk, but also helping move and holding doors, and us RDs are here just kind of running around putting out fires, but that's normal for us.
MSSU is welcoming students with a variety of activities throughout the week. And a new private school in Joplin is celebrating its first school year. KOAM's Anthony Saviello has the story.
For some, the thought of sending their kids to public school is a little daunting. However, for parents whose kids will be attending Pleasantville Christian School, the stress may be alleviated.
Tailoring it to the child, being able to say, hey, you may be thriving in one content, maybe need a little bit more support in this, and we can accommodate that. We do cap at 15 per grade level, and then in our pre-K we'll cap at 10 students, so quite a bit smaller of a class size, and more of that community feel for our students and our families.
Creating a space that allows students to learn at a pace more suited for them and smaller class sizes make the idea of students getting left behind almost non-existent. With school just around the corner, teachers are preparing and getting ready for each one of these seats to be filled, albeit with people a little bit smaller than me.
They will receive all core contents, math, science, ELA, and social studies, but students will also receive homesteading. We'll have a homesteading teacher that will come in that will teach bread making and canning, and we'll have a greenhouse here on site that students can engage in. We're partnering with Maple Leaf Music Company out of Carthage, and they're providing all of our music programs as well as engaging students in learning about vocal music.
For kids at Pleasantville Christian School, it's not all work and no play. They get just as much fun as kids in public school. Reporting in Joplin, I'm Anthony Saviello, KOAM News.
The first day for kids ages pre-K through 4th grade will be August 29th, and the school is also still accepting enrollment. Well, earlier in the week, we had Brent Dinger on the show to talk about an event called the second annual Baxter Springs Jeep Invasion. Well, it's happening today into tomorrow. And we've sent our very own Shannon Becker out to J&D Off-Road Park before things kick off at 10 a.m. Good morning, Shannon.
Yeah, thanks, Caitlin. We're at J&D Off-Road Park. Now, maybe some people haven't heard of this before. When I was a kid, you just went to the chat piles and you kind of went around in your dune buggy. This is a cool new thing that they do now. The Off-Road Park, we're at Zora and North Schifferdecker. And this is where they'll start the event tomorrow. So everybody will meet here, and then they'll kind of convoy over to Baxter Springs. It's the second annual. It's the second time they've done this, and last year it was really huge. I do remember I was there last year, and it poured down rain in the early evening, so everybody got really soaked. So maybe this time, everybody, bring your top of your Jeep, maybe as a backup. I don't know, perhaps. So Good weather though tomorrow. Chris Warren is telling us, so we'll tell you more about that coming up. But the big event tomorrow, second annual, we'll tell you more about J&D Off-Road Park coming up, and also all the fun that'll be having tomorrow. Maybe you've been thinking about buying a Jeep. You'll see a lot of them tomorrow for sure.
Thanks, Shannon. That looks like a blast. I hear there's going to be a beer garden. Is that happening tomorrow?
Do what?
A beer garden.
Oh yeah, there will be a beer garden. I'm sorry, I can't hear you in my earpiece, so sorry about that. We'll get that fixed here coming up.
All right. Well, thanks so much, Shannon. Appreciate it. And we'll talk to you soon. It's the dog day of summer, and folks in downtown Joplin were celebrating. Yesterday's Third Thursday event featured plenty of dog-related activities, including a dog costume contest, a dog agility course, giveaways from General Mills Blue Buffalo, and for the humans, there was live music, a beer garden, and a vintage car cruise.
Dog days of summer tonight, so everyone's bringing their furry friends down. We've got Blue Buffalo General Mills as our sponsor, and the 400 block is full of activities. You can bring your dog down, get some doggy ice cream. There's an agility course. There is a best dressed pet contest that you can enter.
More than 140 vendors were set up downtown for yesterday's event. And a museum in Webb City is celebrating human flight. The Freedom of Flight Museum and Aerospace Science and Technology Center is hosting a 3-day event in honor of Orville Wright's birthday. It kicked off yesterday with an aviation history exhibit, a space room, and a flight simulator.
Highlight aviation to the public in the Joplin region, not just Joplin alone, but to restore aircraft and create an interest among all the people in aviation in general.
The event continues through Saturday, which is Aviation Day. Other events will include STEM activities and a presentation about World War I memoir, Luck on the Wing. That's a look at our top news stories coming up on this half hour of the KOAM Morning News. We go back to Shannon Becker, who joins us live from Joplin to talk about the big 3 stories of the week.
Plus, we will have another check of that forecast and just how hot it's going to be as we head into the weekend. You're watching the KOAM Morning News. We'll be back after all of this, but first, take a look. This is a live look from J&D Off-Road Park in Joplin. As we've mentioned, today kicks off the 2nd annual Baxter Springs Jeep Invasion.
Welcome back. We've got Shannon Becker with us this morning, live from the J&J Off-Road Park in Joplin with his big 3 stories of the week.
Thanks, Caitlin. Here we are at J&D Off-Road Park, where tomorrow they'll have a huge Jeep event that will go from here over to Baxter Springs. Let's talk about the big 3 stories this week, live and breaking news, and what happened where you live. Number 3 this week. It's not very often that we have something like this. Crazy Llama Coffee, number 3 story. Everybody's talking about this. They're opening their 2nd location. It's coming up this fall, and it's a pretty big deal. They're going to be opening just to the west of 32nd and Main Street. A lot of people have been asking about what they're building there. Crazy Llama Coffee, their 2nd location, and we talked to them. It's going to have a drive-through, expanded, and a great area where there currently is kind of no coffee within a couple of miles there. Our number 2 story, a man struck and killed crossing I-44 on foot. It happened on Sunday afternoon about 1:30. A 23-year-old male was crossing I-44, was struck by a pickup truck. The driver of the pickup truck, they were from out of state and they were traveling. They're not charged in any crime, obviously. Tragedy there. More details you can find on our website, KOAM News Now. And our number 1 story, a DWI driver, Sunday afternoon, flipped, and his pickup flipped into a spring-fed pond near Racine, Missouri. Missouri Department of Natural Resources responded to an oil and gas spill. That's actually the spring that feeds into Lost Creek, which flows into downtown Seneca. They were able to stop all of those oils and gases from the pickup truck that were really dammed up there, ready to flow on downstream, but they stopped all of that from continuing. It's kind of a fascinating process, but Anyway, the driver suffered moderate injuries and will have a date in Newton County Court coming up. That's your big three stories of the week. We'll tell you more about what's happening this huge second annual Jeep event. We're at J&D Off-Road Park. I'm Shannon Becker, KOAM News Now. Caitlin, now back to you in the studio.
All right, sounds good. Thanks, Shannon. Well, we'll be right back with more news, and we have birthdays coming up right after the break. Welcome back. We've got Shannon Becker with us this morning, live from the J&J Off-Road Park in Joplin, with his big three stories of the week.
Thanks, Caitlin. Here we are at J&D Off-Road Park, where tomorrow they'll have a huge Jeep event that will go from here over to Baxter Springs. Let's talk about the big three stories this week, live and breaking news and what happened where you live. Number three this week. It's not very often that we have something like this. Crazy Llama Coffee, number three story. Everybody's talking about this. They're opening their second location. It's coming up this fall, and it's a pretty big deal. They're going to be opening just to the west of 32nd and Main Street. A lot of people have been asking about what they're building there. Crazy Llama Coffee, their second location, and we talked to them. It's going to have a drive-through, expanded, and a great area where there currently is kind of no coffee within a couple of miles there. Our number two story, a man struck and killed crossing I-44 on foot. It happened on Sunday afternoon about 1:30. A 23-year-old male was crossing I-44, was struck by a pickup truck. The driver of the pickup truck, they were from out of state and they were traveling. They're not charged in any crime, obviously. Tragedy there. More details you can find on our website, KOAM News Now. And our number one story, a DWI driver Sunday afternoon flipped, and his pickup flipped into a spring-fed pond near Racine, Missouri. Missouri Department of Natural Resources responded to an oil and gas spill. That's actually the spring that feeds into Lost Creek, which flows into downtown Seneca. They were able to stop all of those oils and gases from the pickup truck that were really dammed up there, ready to flow on downstream, but they stopped all of that from continuing. It's kind of a fascinating process, but anyway, the driver suffered moderate injuries and will have a date in Newton County Court coming up. That's your big three stories of the week. We'll tell you more about what's happening this huge second annual Jeep event. We're at J&D Off-Road Park. I'm Shannon Becker, KOAM News Now. Caitlin, now back to you in the studio.
All right, sounds good. Thanks, Shannon. Well, we'll be right back with more news, and we have birthdays coming up right after the break.
In the home, Phoenix provides care in the comfort of your home. From caregiving and nursing to therapy and end-of-life care, come check out our continuum. Clients and employees agree. I choose Phoenix.
I just want you girls to know there's no one that deserves this more than you. It's time to go home.
It was important for me to honor her.
Popo, this is for you.
We are literally raising the roof up in here.
Yeah, Josh is like a brother to me.
A new Secret Celebrity Renovation tonight at 8/7 Central on CBS and streaming on Paramount Plus.
Make this a summer sales event and take that little drive to Shields in Chanute for some of the best deals we've had in 4 or 5 years. You can take up to $11,000 off this Ram 1500 Crew Cab Laramie, all the stuff you want. It's got a trade-in rebate, and if you're a farmer and have purchased Case or New Holland equipment, take another $1,000 off. Take that country drive to Shields in Chanute for a brand new Ram truck today.
As parents, we say so many things.
Be careful. Don't eat that. Wake up. Wash your hands.
3 teens were involved in a fatal car accident Friday evening.
But no matter what, make sure your teen understands.
Hey, you can't ever drink and drive.
Yeah, okay.
No, I'm serious. Never.
Okay. I get it.
Find more resources to start the conversation at safeandsober.org.
Greg Kelly, Executive Director of Operations with Phoenix Home Care and Hospice here. We invite you to become a part of our Phoenix family. Whether you're a caregiver, nurse, or client, we look forward to getting to know you. Reach out today.
All right, time for some Finally Friday birthdays in the 4 states. We're going to begin with Jana Harp, celebrating number 43. Says here she's an amazing daughter, sister, wife, and mom, and she'll always be a kid at heart. We love you, Jana, from your family. Happy birthday.
And over in Girard, Kansas, happy 15th birthday to Emily Powell. Love, Mom and Dad.
And over in St. Paul, we've got Thomas Clark celebrating number 8. Happy birthday, Thomas.
And we had a birthday that was yesterday. Happy 11th birthday to Reagan Spoonamore.
And in New Baden, Illinois, we've got Malik Wooten celebrating birthday number 6. Says the grandparents live here in the area. And it says happy birthday from Grandpa Tracy and Grandma Penny. So Malik, the good news is we publish these on YouTube, so they'll be able to share that with you, and you can see your birthday being celebrated right here in the 4 states.
Oh, that is special. And happy 95th birthday to Leela Marie Daniels over in Erie, Kansas. Family and friends want to wish her a wonderful day. We all love you. Happy B-Day, Leela.
And in Frontenac, Alexa Schropp celebrating birthday number 9 today. Very happy birthday to you, Alexa.
And a big happy birthday to Andy Peterman.
All right, and we've also got Tom and Dixie Hayward celebrating their 61st wedding anniversary in Oswego. A very happy anniversary to the Haywards.
That's wonderful. And over in Pittsburgh, we have Amy Kimberlin, who's celebrating her 47th birthday. Happy birthday, Amy.
All right, a very happy birthday and anniversary to all of you on our list. And if you'd like to be on this list, Caitlin, what do they need to do?
Well, all you gotta do is submit your pictures and a nice message to birthdays@KOAMnewsnow.com so we can celebrate you and your loved one's special day.
And of course, when you're on our website checking out all the latest news, weather, and sports, make sure you take a moment to sign up for the KOAM Birthday Club. It is easy to do. You get a special birthday message from your friends here at KOAM, and you get special deals from local businesses. So head over to KOAMnewsnow.com and sign up for that birthday club today. All right, let's take a look outside, shall we? And here we are. We are looking outside from our camera at 7th and Rangeline in Joplin. We got this great sunrise out there. It's a beautiful start to the day. In fact, for some of us, even a kind of chilly start to the day. Heading down south to Neosho. MoDOT camera, US 60, Missouri 59, looking back to the west toward Lusk Drive, right there on Highway 60, looking great. And from the MoDOT camera, 32nd and Rangeline, looking off to the south, we're looking great as well. And of course, the big important thing is so far traffic moving in each of these views, and that's always important. Now, right now, there's not any traffic on the KDUG camera at 69 East 520th Avenue, but I presume if there was, it'd probably be moving because nobody seems to be backed up, and that is phenomenal. All right, here's what we are watching as we head into the weekend. These are excessive heat watches for all of southeast Kansas and all of southwest Missouri. They kick in officially tomorrow afternoon, and they run until Wednesday evening. And with these excessive heat watches, we're looking at the potential of heat index values as high as 112 degrees. Now, I know some kids already in school. I know more kids starting school as we head into next week. So the big message here is for the schools, for those kids, you've got to be watching these temperatures and these heat index values closely because as we know, the kids, the elderly, they're a little more vulnerable to this excessive heat, and it can be dangerous for kids if they're outside for recess, things like that. I know they love to go outside. They don't understand it's too hot, but it might not be a bad idea to maybe keep them inside or limit that outdoor time. And of course, for parents and everyone else, you need to do that as well as we head into the weekend because again, this is potentially dangerous heat, and I wouldn't be surprised if we see some heat advisories and excessive heat warnings over the next day. We are nowhere near dangerous heat though. Look at this. We are at 60 in Joplin right now, and some of us downright chilly this morning, especially up north. 55 Iola, 56 Fort Scott, 59 Nevada, 57 in Stockton, and we've got 60 Carthage, Lamar, Yates Center, Sedan, 61 in Pittsburgh, 65 Miami, Anderson, and 63 in Neosho. So a relatively chilly start out there, given that it's August and we got kids in school and going back to school. It's not supposed to be in the 50s yet, but boy, it certainly is. But again, as we've been talking, it doesn't last long. As we go through the morning, we are looking at mostly sunny skies. We're going to have temperatures into the mid-70s by late morning. And like we've seen the last couple of days, some of us have seen some passing clouds going partly cloudy as we head into the afternoon, so that's still another possibility again today. We are hot today as we go right around 90 or slightly above, but that does put us right about average for this time of year. So again, it is hot. I'm not going to lie. I know 90 degrees is hot, but at least it's average. Unfortunately, though, that does not last as we head into next week. And through our evening, though, we're looking great. Clear skies, mild, and mild overnight. We go back into the lower 70s. And then we look ahead beyond that. We're talking lower 100s Saturday and Sunday and upper 90s for the majority of next week. And some of the data suggests and we could go into the lower 100s as late as Monday and Tuesday. So hence those excessive heat warnings from tomorrow afternoon through Wednesday evening. Now we go beyond that and we get ourselves slightly cooler. We're still low to mid 90s out there, still above average, but a little cooler with some pop-up storm chances Friday and Saturday evening. Let's check your forecast. Coming up when the KOAM Morning News switches over to Fox 14 at 7 a.m. The Super Mario Brothers movie is celebrating its 30th anniversary. Obviously, not the one that most recently came out. We'll have more on that.
Here's a check of today's top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door. Pittsburgh man is arrested for child pornography charges. The Internet Crimes Against Children Task Force initiated an investigation which revealed that child pornography was being uploaded from a location in Pittsburgh. On August 16th, officers and detectives from the Pittsburgh Police Department arrested a 47-year-old suspect. That suspect was arrested for sexual exploitation of a child, specifically related to the possession of sexually explicit images involving minors under the age of 18. And Kansas Attorney General Chris Kobach says state authorities reviewing alleged crimes associated with this raid of a Marion newspaper are interested in whether someone breached the Kansas Criminal Justice Information System. Police raided the Marion County Record last week after the newspaper received information from a confidential source about the criminal history of a restaurant owner who wanted a liquor license. The case has gained international attention, and now the KBI is investigating if there was improper access to information in the KCJIs. Chanute, Kansas is eliminating the city property tax levy. This week, commissioners approved the city's 2024 budget. By dropping the mill, the city will not be collecting $2.1 million annually. City officials expect a person who owns a $100,000 house to save about $400 per year in property taxes starting next year. However, the city owns the electric utility and will increase the electric rate by a little less than 16%. Officials also say it's not the first time Chanute will be a tax-free city. They say back in the 30s, the city also used utilities earnings to fund much of the city's spending. And a museum in Webb City is celebrating human flight. The Freedom of Flight Museum and Aerospace Science and Technology Center is hosting a 3-day event in honor of Orville Wright's birthday. It kicked off yesterday with an aviation history exhibit, a space room, and a flight simulator. The event continues through Saturday, which is Aviation Day. Other events will include STEM activities and a presentation about the World War I memoir, Luck on the Wing. That's a check of top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door.
And we've got ourselves a hot one today, but about average as we go right around 90. And then we go into the lower 100s Saturday, Sunday, upper 90s heading into next week. And we do have an excessive heat watch kicking in tomorrow afternoon through Wednesday evening. Could potentially see heat index values as high as 112 out there. So you got to make sure you are taking precautions over the next several days as we could see some dangerous heat return to the 4 states.
All right, and coming up today at noon, we're making chunky cinnamon applesauce in the Mr. Food Test kitchen.
And your morning news continues on KOAM with CBS Mornings.
Or you can switch on over with us on Fox 14, where your only local morning news continues. This morning, we'll get to Nebraska to meet a teacher who has been welcoming students for over 4 decades.
Plus, Shannon Becker joins us again to tell us the big 3 stories that have happened this week. So a lot coming up over at 7 a.m. for sure.
It's gonna be good. I can't wait.
A fantastic Friday show for you on a fantastic Friday morning, right?
Absolutely.
Beautiful day out there, but it is going to get hot, unfortunately. And that's going to wrap it up for us for now. We will see you back here Monday morning at 5 a.m.
And we'll see you right back here at noon.